sounds phenomenal on Aprilia's V4 engine. Mwah. The weight to power ratio is suddenly an absolute delight to ride. Tried and tested. Is this taking the piss out of me? Classy. And people say it looks like an old man at the front. It's 22 years old. Absolute savagery is what this bike is. Jesus, it's just farted. And it was my first track day at Silverstone as well, in the wet, on an R1M, on cut slicks. Imagine the situation. Penelope pit stop. Like, so there's no clutch, DCT. Breathe in, bitch. What a boat. The real reason I'm here, guys, is that I'm looking for a new bike. Hello everyone, today we're here at Superbikefactory, Buckinghamshire, and today I'm taking you on a tour around their Milton Keynes showroom. We're approaching autumn. Around this time, people are looking to switch up their bikes, maybe add a bike to the fleet or part exchange their bikes for a new bike. So I thought, why not just show you what's available? What I've got planned for this video as well is to check out the cheapest bike that they've got in store and the most expensive. They have around 257 bikes in the showroom, so there's plenty to check out. I'm also going to pick my favorite. The variety and diversity of bikes that they have in there is huge, so we're going to be spoiled for choice. We're going to check out some awesome machines. They have some really nice premium bikes as well. So let's go in and let's check out some cool bikes at Superbikefactory, Buckinghamshire. This is what I call every biker's heaven, guys, because we have got endless lineups of bikes from scramblers. We've got some kind of cafe racers and nakeds. We've got a lineup of super sport, naked, and another naked. And then we've got all the adventure bikes down there and cruisers. We've even got peds. So there's literally something for everyone in here. Where should we start with, Peter? Shall we go? Let's have a look at these Lita Supersport, because obviously I'm a Lita Supersport girl. This is the gen with the really advanced electronics that came after I think the last gen was 2016, so this is 2017 onwards. This specific one is a 2019 model. I'm going to sit on it. I've got my Doc Martens on, but I remember sitting on this when it was first released in 2017 and thinking, oh my God, this is much taller than my current one, which was a 2013 plate. So I do love the Fireblade because although it's a Lita Supersport Savage Power, it's kind of on the more comfier side. The comfort was a little bit reduced from 2016 onto the 2017. They've kind of made a little bit taller and a little bit more hunched over, but still comfortable relative to other Lita Supersports like the R1M here, which we're going to sit on in a minute, but you'll see how much more aggressive this is. So this makes it a great sport bike that is amazing for the road, but it also does track really well. Whereas I feel like something like that is more like built for the track, but also handles the road fairly well. You've got MSV levers here, Oxford heated grips here, and I also love the fact that they've got the indicators on the mirrors, and the mirrors are foldable. Got a nice TFT dash. This is kitted with RNG crash protection, and let's check out the price. That's the most important part, right? 9,490, but it's done. That's really low mileage for that age, actually. Because imagine 2019. Let's move on to the R1M, because this is one tasty bike, covered and draped in carbon. The hugger, the cone, brushed aluminium tang. I love how premium that is. Let me show you the riding position of this. Okay, immediately, the seat is wider. Okay, it puts you in the most aggressive track riding mode. Your arse is high up in the air, really hunched over. Honestly, this is such a wicked track machine. I actually rode the R1M back in 2019 when they released the new shape of the R1. And when I tell you, I rode it around Silverstone in torrential rain and I still loved it. And it was my first track day at Silverstone as well, in the wet, on an R1M, on cut slicks. Imagine the situation. Double bubble as well here. I don't think that comes standard on the R1, but this specific one has double bubble. It's got 10.2 thousand miles and it's just under 15k. Beautiful. Right, moving on, we've got the 67 plate Gixxer bow in the beautiful red. This one is pretty standard apart from the shorties. Is that a Black Widow? I think that's a Black Widow exhaust system. But again, Gixxers are just good all-rounders. Should we check out the scramblers or should we go to the nakeds, Peter? What do you think? Nakeds. Some nakeds, please. Lovely Trident 660. I really like it. So I think if I had a restricted license or if I'm starting with my bike journey, I would consider something like that because very accessible, very easy to ride, very easy to kind of like manually handle, but then still feels premium. You know, it's a triumph. This specific one has just under 7k miles and it's around 5k. So I think you're getting a lot of bike for your money. Look how premium the aesthetics. Let's look at the gleamy tank as well here, the embossing of the Union Jack and the Triumph logo. Oh, this is the Street Triple. I like that. So this is the kind of previous gen Street Triple. I've only ridden the new gen Street Triple and that wowed me. I rode the 765 RS with a premium suspension. Absolutely transformed the ride from a standard suspension. It's got about just under 11k and it's around 5k. I think that is such a good price for a mid-weight naked. Lovely bar end mirrors there, which are aftermarket, I'm assuming. So 18 plates. So this is a few years before they changed the shape. We're going to actually see in a minute. If we move on to the next one, this is another one in black. This is the new gen Street Triple. And guys, looking at it, how much nicer have they made it? I love the new angular, sharper lines. The aesthetics are beautiful, gorgeous exhaust with carbon trim. But this is the RS, and this is the one, not the exact one, but this is the one that I've ridden. Yeah, much nicer front. But what's amazing about it, I mean, they have made it a little bit taller. I feel like as bikes are getting newer, they get a little bit taller. Look at the bars, shorter, a little bit more hooligan, like aggressive bars than the more wider and more relaxed riding position. I feel like that kind of transforms the ride. TFT dash as opposed to analog. So we have to cover this. I'll tell you why, Peter. Now, this is a little bit controversial because I love the Speed Triple, okay? But this is the previous gen Speed Triple and I prefer it. It's a 1050, it's not a 1200. The new shape Speed Triple, which we're going to find at some point here, it almost looks like a Street Triple. So in terms of aesthetics, they've really narrowed down everything. And if you come a bit closer, you'll see the silhouette is wide. You've got nice, bulky under the seat exhaust with carbon trims. It's beefy. It's a monster. I think it looks more monstrous than the newer Speed Triple. So the bars, again, flatter and shorter and a little bit lower. But I do love the riding position of this. Very similar to the new Street Triple. I still prefer this to the new Speed Triple. What do you guys think? Do you prefer the Speed? This is the RS as well. You prefer the Speed 1050 or the Speed 1200? Personally, I think this looks better, but obviously the 1200 is quicker. What I love about this ship, I've never ridden it, but I hardly ever see it. I'll probably see one a year or two. So they're quite an interesting genre of bike. So I would say they're not supermoto, they're not adventure, they're not naked. They're literally the three combined. Okay, this is the first time I've sit on one actually. A little bit weighty, but again, very short bars, almost a naked riding position, but there's something adventure-y and a little bit off-roady, supermoto-y about it. But this could be a cool option as a winter bike or even as a commuter. But let's have a look at the price. So mileage is low at 8.5 pretty much, but it's 3,750. I would have thought it'd be a bit more expensive than that. A 660 Toyota and an 1100 Toyota. So it's nice that they placed this next to that because it shows you the differences between the 660 and the 1100. Toyota 660, never ridden it, but I have ridden the RS 660. What I love about the 660 is you do get a lot of bike for the price. So this is about 6.5 grand, low mileage, but you're getting a lot in terms of performance. Sorry, Triumph, but when I compared the RS 660 to the Daytona 660, do you remember I told you, Peter, that I much prefer the RS 660? You're getting more premium feel, more premium parts, more performance, more importantly, and a very similar price point. Let's actually move to the 1100 because you guys know I have the RSV4 1100, but this is a Toyota 1100, and this is an 18 plate. So the pretty much the gen before they did the semi-active suspension and all that kind of stuff. But this one is under 10k and it's 11k mileage, and it's an 18 plate. But I do love the Toyotas. The only thing about this gen, I think the new gen, they've really nailed it when it comes to aesthetics and the aggressive wings and the racy look. So if you're considering a Toyota, consider how much you care about the aesthetics of the bike, because this is, I'd say, great bike, but I much prefer the new gen. Don't you think they look much better, the ones outside with the massive wide wings at the bottom? This is just my opinion. Some people are not fans of the big bulky wings. I am. As the years go on, you've got the wings wider and wider and wider. So this is the naked lineup. Let's go to Super Sport. Right, Daytona 675. Absolutely love this bike. It's like a midweight Super Sport. I know some people that had this as a track bike and a road bike, and they absolutely love it. I mean, they are quite timeless in terms of aesthetics and performance. 15.5k mileage, but it's around 7k. It's 10 years old and it's on 15k. Not bad at all. Love it in white as well. Breathe in, bitch. Just going to move it forward. KTM RC8, the first and last Super Sport that they've made. This is the 1190 V-twin, no electronics, absolute savagery is what this bike is. I knew someone who had it for a long time, and they had a love-hate relationship with it because it worked sometimes, it didn't at other times, so a little bit like an Aprilia. Why I love them is that they are just so extreme in their lines and styling and performance as well. It's around 6-7k. Steering damper, colour-coded brake reservoir lids, colour-coded features and bolts and bits and bobs, colour-coded adjustable levers, which is lovely. The mirrors, interestingly, are fixed in place, but you can just adjust a bit inside. Would it be a bike that I would consider? No, because I think Elite Supersport have come such a long way and there's so much more that they can offer, especially if you're riding them on the road. But also the clip-ons are so aggressively positioned and it puts you in a crazy position on the road. So maybe not for me, but some people like that kind of stuff. It is. I actually rode my friends, the one that I mentioned. It was very uncomfortable. So moving on to a big bang. This is the big bang. We like a good big bang. 8 grand, 13k miles, covered in stickers. But why I love the big bang is that the first gen of the cross-plane engine, and wow, I think the first gen of the big bang was 09. The engine is absolutely bonkers, and I think, you know, they still use the engine in the new R1s, like the one that we checked out here. I never had a big bang, but I had the 48. It was the model before the big bang. The 48 was just a straight inline 4, no electronics, just no ABS even. But this one has the ABS and the traction. Still savage, and if you do ride in London, you will see a lot of riders. They're so popular in London. Amazing cross-plane engine that kind of delivers torque and power both at once, without the compromise of power on an inline 4, straight inline 4, and without compromise of torque in a V4. It does, and they actually call it the cat eyes. So how to spot a big bang is that they've got these, we call it cat eyes, because they do look like cat eyes. Do you not like them? Okay, Peter doesn't like the big bang. Wow, that's really low mileage. 72 plate, CBR 650R, great for restricted license holders. This one has done under 1,000 miles, so it's just been running basically. And it will cost you around 7k, just under, to buy this bike. But I do love the CBR series because I started a CBR 125 and another one. And then I had a 600RR and another one. And then I had my first litre bike, which was a Blade, okay? So I do have that sentimental feeling about a CBR. If you are a beginner or if you want your first sport bike, great bike because powerful enough, but it's not going to bite your head off. And they look nice and they're reliable, okay? Oh, what have we got here? SP1. Now that's a little bit of a vintage one, isn't it? A VTR 1000. But this one's done 20,000 miles. But for the age, it's an 03, so it's 22 years old. I know, comfy. A steering damper here, which is great on these old bikes because you do need them. Clip-ons. This would be interesting to ride, honestly. Wow, this is a boat. This feels like a boat. Shorties. It's 22 years old. Aggressive riding position for the age, you know? Like, that is a proper sport bike. A bit of history, man. I love it. 21,000 miles, I don't think that's bad. I mean, considering my modern bikes have done 40-odd thousand miles, I think this is great, honestly. It's SP1 as well, so kind of like limited edition, limited number. 7.5 grand-ish. We've got a 500R. Okay, I always struggle to tell the difference between the 500R and the 650R, but looking at them both now, the tanks look pretty much identical, but the 650 has a little indent in the tank in comparison to this. A great start-up sport, and again, who doesn't love a bit of Honda reliability? Ice cream! Should we get one? We're going to go for an ice cream, guys. I need a break. You get ice cream. Just a little bit here. 66 plate, Ninja Bow, ZX-10R. As you guys know, I love my Ninja H2, but I've never actually ridden or owned a ZX-10. The only Kawasaki that I had years ago was a B1H track bike. 66 plate, 15k on the clock. And it's around just under £9,000. And I'm wearing, obviously, my Doc Martens, but it's a nice, accessible, I think, ish seat height for someone who's not very tall. It's got an Olin steering damper, RNG crash protection, indicators in the mirrors, foldable mirrors, standard levers on this one. This is a lovely bike, and I think 15k for a 10-year-old bike is not so bad. Nice aftermarket here, which is a Pipeworks. I used to have a Pipeworks on my Fireblade, and they sound immense. Right. What do you think of it? Show us suspension. 72 plate RS660. When I told you earlier that I compared it to the Daytona 660, and I much preferred that. Do you see why I prefer that? Because it looks premium, it feels premium, it is premium, much more performance, and just it feels modern and it feels like it offers you so much. TFT dash and gorgeous race liveries, and I mean, you get wings on the RS660, okay? Compared to the Daytona 660, where you don't really get much, in my opinion. But yeah, this is a great, again, starter sport bike, but also a great track bike, and also it's just a great sport bike. If you're into sport bikes and you don't want a litre, this is so lovely. I'd say accessible riding position. You know, if you're a bit shorter, it's not the shortest midweight sport. Certainly loved it when I rode it. When I had it for like a 2-week loan, I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything, you know, on a sport bike. Pulls really nice, and yeah, it does offer a lot. And it's also got the ARPC electronic package with it. So you're getting all the premium Aprilia electronics on this. Beautiful. Italian flair. Ugh, it's caught on my dress. Hang on. Oh, we've got the big sister here, Peter. We've got the RSV4. This is the 64 plate, a couple of gens before mine, which is 2020. But I can see a lot has changed. We've got the shorter mirrors. I actually much prefer the shorter mirrors to my big flingy ones that you fold really funny. Just, you know, just sitting on it, I feel like I'm sitting on mine in terms of variety. Well, it is the same pretty much, even though this is obviously a litre. And mine is an 1100. Lever guards. Shorties on this side, but not this side. Interesting choice. But you see that riding position of an Aprilia, Peter, as soon as you sit on it, you're, and look at the pegs. Look how far back my pegs are. Like, it's honestly such an aggressive riding position. Again, this is a bit like the R1M, where it's absolutely bonkers on a track, but still appropriate for the road, if you like. Unlike, say, like a Fireblade, where it's amazing for the road and still appropriate for track use. RNG crash protection. It's got Öhlins, but I don't think it's got the semi-active suspension that you get on, I think 2020 onwards, you get the semi-active suspension with it. SC Project exhaust, which sounds phenomenal on Aprilia's V4 engine. Mwah! Right, not only do we have one Ducati Panigale, we've got another Panigale and a third one, a fourth and a fifth. This is a gorgeous line of Ducati Panigales. We've got the V2, a V4, a 959 V-twin, 1199 V-twin, and another 1199 V-twin. And they do look awfully similar, I must say. It's really hard to distinguish between the Panigales, the V4s, the V2s, the different engine sizes. We'll start here with the V2. I've never actually ridden the Panigale V2, but I've ridden the Street Fighter V2, which is the same engine. I rode it around Donington Park on a Ducati track day, and wow, what a great engine. This one is kitted out with a double bubble, shorties. Just looking at the setup here, I feel like it's the sort of bike that you sit on and you're automatically put in a, ooh, yeah, you're put in a very racy, aggressive riding position. Brembo master cylinder, Brembo calipers, absolutely beautiful. This one is 11.5K and it's done 7K. Midweight, I guess, in terms of brake horsepower, midweight super sport. This is the big sister, shall we say. The V4 producing like over 200 brake horsepower. This one's pretty much standard in terms of all the bits that it's got on it. It's not the sort of bike that I've ever considered, to be honest, a Panigale, and I love my Leeds Supersport. And I have ridden it actually around Donington. I remember thinking, I'm not getting out of second to third gear. Like, it was just, there's so much more bike to be used. It's absolutely insane and phenomenal. This one costs around 12K, but again, aggressive riding position. It's just such an absolutely mean machine. And if you own a Panigale, you know that special feeling that you have when you're riding a Panigale, the presence that it has and the performance, and beautiful. You can't go wrong. 959 V-twin. This one is 9 grand and has done 9,500 miles. 1199 and another. Is that an 1199? Yeah, 1199. Oh, that's a little bit cheaper, but it's done a little bit more mileage. This is heaven, isn't it? Oh, ZZR 1400. That's been sold already. I'm not surprised. I love the ZZR. I think you guys know my passion for the ZZR because, as I said before, it's the predecessor of the H2 series. So 1400, ZZR 1400, absolutely savvy. What a boat! What? It's nice the way they fold. Wow. And shorter seat height as well. If you show how it feels from here, look at that. Look at that, it's a boat. I like that feeling. It's a shame that they've stopped making this because the H2 has completely replaced it, the H2 series. So this one, H2 SX, this one, has replaced that. A supercharged version of the ZZR. Wow, that's comfy. See, that is so different to my H2. It feels heavier. It's more of a comfy riding position. Obviously, it's the touring version. Semi-active suspension. Wow, that is much bigger, bulkier, and heavier than H2. In a way, even though H2 is bulky, but this feels so much more and it's heavier. When I swing it between my legs like that, it feels so much bulkier and heavier, honestly. And it's shorter than the H2. Wings. Peter's not a fan of the wings. You prefer my H2, innit? But, you know, it would be appropriate to sit on the Hayabusa now. Look, these two are like competitors, aren't they? They're very much in the same league, the 1400, the H2. The Busa. The Busa. Do you remember the story I told you about the Busa? Yeah, what was the bird called? It means the peregrine that eats the blackbirds, which is a Honda model. But, oh my God, it would be amazing to ride a Hayabusa just to compare it to the performance of the H2. And I have seen a lot online where people say, oh, the Busa will beat the H2, but I just don't see how. They're heavier, they're bulkier, they're less aerodynamic, and the engine is not supercharged. It's a 1300cc. So what would you put your money towards, a H2 or a Busa? Huh? You just said that it's under. In a race, which one do you think? Really? Interesting. I mean, it is a bike that I would own, you know. So extreme. Huh?
The exhaust.
It's humongous. And do you remember the bubbly back? This one has a seat, but the other one had a seat cowl, and it was bubbly. They love doing that bubbly. The overall line, Peter, is like this, as opposed to my H2s a little bit like this. Marmite. People say that about the H2. Marmite.